What film role was 100% perfectly cast? J. K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. Edit. Thanks for all the awards everyone. Yeah, definitely. He was such the perfect choice. They got him to portray Jonah again in a completely different Spider-Man series. J.K. Simmons as Cave Johnson. Ian McKellen as Gandalf. LOTR. I always considered LOTR perfectly cast in general, even beating out Christopher Lee, who had Tolkien's blessing to play Gandalf. Christoph Waltz as Karl Hans Lander in Inglourious Bastards, and Leonardo DiCaprio was Tarantino's original choice as Hans Lander. It's always strange to see original casting decisions which seem, in retrospect, utterly bizarre and wrong. It's perhaps testament to Christoph Waltz that it's pretty much impossible to imagine anyone else in the part. But mostly I can't see Leo suddenly becoming fluent in French, German and Italian for the film. I watched this last night for the umpteenth time. The opening scene is in my opinion genius. Simply wonderful to watch his facial expressions. Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, Captain Jack Sparrow, and casting Keith Richards as his father. Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith in The Matrix, Mr. Anderson. I bet everyone read in Agent Smith's voice. Definitely Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal. Anthony Hopkins as Mr. Ford in Westworld is great too. Anthony Hopkins is always a win. Edit. Dr. Ford. With all due respect to Sean Connery, best Bond etc. Thank goodness he turned down the role of Hannibal Lecter. From Wikipedia. For the role of Dr. Hannibal Lecter, director Dem originally approached Sean Connery. After the actor turned it down, Anthony Hopkins was then offered the part, based on his performance in The Elephant Man, 1980. Other actors considered for the role included Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Dustin Hoffman, Derek Jacobi and Daniel Day-Lewis. I don't think he could have come anywhere near to the sinister stillness of Anthony Hopkins. Still, if only there were audition tapes. FBI agent Starling slowly approaches the last cell, and a figure steps out of the darkness. Hello Clarish. Matthew Lillard as Shaggy. He was so good he even took over as Shaggy's voice actor too. I think they got the whole gang pretty spot on to be fair. But this might be from the bias of an at the time 7-year-old. Alan Rickman, Severus Snape. Harry Potter had some phenomenal casting. Along with Alan Rickman, Imelda Staunton as Umbridge and Kenneth Branagh as Gilderoy Lockhart were perfect choices. J.K. Rowling told him Snape's entire backstory and arc from the beginning, so he went into it knowing exactly how to act. Raul Julia and Angelica Huston as Gomez and Morticia. They were both perfect individually, but the way they played off of each other took it to another level. Edit. Oh snap, I got awards and such. Thanks. I feel good that my best comment ever is about the Addams family. It feels right. My favorite on-screen depiction of true love in a marriage. I was going to say them too, but also Christopher Lloyd will always be the best Uncle Fester. Robin Williams as the genie in Aladdin is one of the best cast film roles of all time. I was going to say Gilbert Gottfried as Iago. I'm half convinced that man is actually a parrot disguised as a human. Patrick Stewart as Professor X. I love the story that when meeting to discuss taking the role of Professor X, Stewart was given an X-Men comic with the professor on the cover. His response, "Why am I on a comic book? Sir Patrick Stewart is a goddamn national treasure of all nations. Have you seen him do any Shakespeare? His performances are off the charts incredible. He is a man of superlatives." Edit. Thanks for the happy cakes. I'm overwhelmed by the number of people wishing a happy cake day. Thanks to you all. Charles Dance as Tywin Lannister had such a commanding presence. Edit. Och is gold. Not sure what it does, but thanks bro. Especially in his first scene, where he is cleaning a stag that he had hunted. Cersei Lannister was also cast pretty spot on. Edit. Praise be to you /Nathapajane and you /Kilbokagins for actually providing depth and a different perspective to the whole Lena as Cersei cast. It's comments like those that really deserve the upvotes. Anyone other than Andre the Giant as Fezzik would be inconceivable. If only he could have played the mountain that rides. Rest well and dream of large women. Alan Rickman in Galaxy Quest, though I could have posted just Alan Rickman and the post would have still answered the question. Everyone in Galaxy Quest was perfectly cast. Arnold as the Terminator. Arnold as Conan the Barbarian. James Cameron wanted Oj Simpson to play the Terminator, but he thought audiences wouldn't buy the friendly Oj as a heartless killing machine. When they recast James Earl Jones's role as Mufasa for The Lion King, the person they got to replace him was James Earl Jones. I don't know why they didn't get Jeremy Irons to voice Scar again. His voice is incredible. Robbie Coltrane as Rubeus Hagrid. Casting in the first 2 Harry Potter movies was pretty much perfect. Robbie Coltrane as Hagrid, Kenneth Branagh as Gilderoy Lockhart, Alan Rickman as Snape, Maggie Smith as McGonagall, Richard Harris as Dumbledore, Ian Hart as Quirrell, Warwick Davis as Flitwick, even Miriam Margolyes as Sprout was on the nose. And secondary characters such as Tom the Bartender, Ollivander, Oliver Wood, etc. J.K. Rowling really wanted Coltrane for Hagrid. She has said in interviews that when the books were being adapted, he had to be the first person they approached for the role. Christian Bale for American Psycho. The ducking business card scene. Hey Paul. RDJ as Iron Man. Grew up with a dad who owned a comic book shop. Knew all about the Marvel and DC universe well before they started the MCU. Marvel has done a phenomenal job with casting in general, but RDJ as Iron Man is absolutely perfect. Edit. I also just want to add how amazing it's been sharing the experience of watching MCU grow with my dad and twin brother. Well, before the first Iron Man movie came out, we would play Marvel or DC. On long car trips, my dad would say a character, and we had to guess which universe they were in. My brother and I are 30 now, and my dad is in his 60s now and retired, but we still go see every Marvel movie together opening night. We always talked about who they could cast for each character. Going to see Endgame in theaters opening night with my dad and brother was like the culmination of this one shared interest we all have. Marvel movies just wouldn't be the same without my dad and my brother. Stan Lee himself said that RDJ is exactly how he imagined Iron Man to be. Very touching emo. Kathy Bates as Annie Wilkes in Misery. You're right, she's fantastic. I can never read the book again without picturing Kathy Bates. Kathy Bates as Mama Boucher. Yes, I'm 100% serious. Yes, I will die on this hill. Vincent D'Onofrio as the bug in the Edgar suit in Men in Black. The fact that he wasn't even nominated for an Oscar for that role is clean and simply a crime against humanity. Think about it. We all, well, cinephiles at least, are intimately familiar with who Vincent D'Onofrio is and what he looks like. And yet, there isn't a moment in that entire film when we aren't wholly convinced that he is anything other than a cockroach wearing human skin, uncomfortably. Actors get Oscars for playing humans with human problems. Not that far of a stretch for a human actor. But Vincent played a bug stuffed inside of ill-fitting skin, convincingly, and we snub him because we don't take comedy seriously. Slap yourself, Academy. Slap yourself right in the rick. Every time I really think about it, I realize how damn good and convincing he is in that role. It's insane. The things he can do with his facial expressions are wild. K-Butt has just incredible anyway. Him as Wilson Fisk is outstanding, and Pyle, well, don't get me started on Private Pyle. John Candy as Uncle Buck. Here's a quarter. Go downtown and have a rat gnaw that thing off your face. John Candy in anything. That man was like a real life Disney character. Chris Tucker as Ruby Rod from The Fifth Element. I heard they wanted Prince, but Chris was perfect. No one was ready for that. A ball of falsetto voiced frenetic energy in a leopard print badisticking. If only we could all aspire to be remembered for that. Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley. Bill Paxton as Hudson. That man was ready to get it on. John Malkovich in Being John Malkovich. I didn't find him very convincing tbh. Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday in Tombstone. Johnny, I'm sorry, I forgot you were there. You may go now. Not his most iconic line as Doc, but one of my favorites. I also think that Kurt Russell did a pretty good job as Wyatt Earp. Doc, you ought to be in bed. What the hell you doing this for anyway? Because Wyatt Earp is my friend. Hell, I've got lots of friends. I don't. My favorite line in the whole film. That or, he's down by the creek, walking on water. Tom Hanks. Forrest Gump. Could have probably just said Tom Hanks. Patrick Stewart as Jane Luck Pickard. This is way too far down. Captain Picard influenced me so much growing up, and he's played the part for near 30 years. The whole cast of The Shawshank Redemption, special mention to Morgan Freeman, made Morgan's voice iconic, especially since in the short story he's a red-headed Irishman, hence the nickname Red. Heath Ledger for Joker. I remember the outcry when he was cast. It was unimaginable that such a pretty boy could be the Joker. That was the role that taught me to shut my mouth and give people a chance. He obliterated all opposition. I still can't actually see any of Heath Ledger in that role. I only see the Joker and Joaquin Phoenix. Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men. Everyone in that movie TBH, and especially Kelly MacDonald. Her West Texas accent is spot on, and she's Scottish. Oh yeah, the very thought of that character and haircut scares me. Really weird in Monsters of Cock. Ah, I see that you are also a person of culture. She brought a lot of depth to the role. Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly and of course Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown. It's amazing that they shot a significant part of the movie with a different actor, but when Fox became available they hired him and reshot all of those scenes. Han Solo in Carbonite. Technically, you have the best answer. Aaron Paul as Jess Pinkman. Edit. I got my first gold for being a Breaking Bad fan. Huh. Thanks, stranger. Pretty much the whole cast of Breaking Bad was extremely good tbh. Walter, Saul, Gus, Hank, Mike, you name it. Even most side characters like Gale and Jane was great. Bitch. Rainn Wilson as Dwight Schrute. Creed Bratton as Creed Bratton. Fact, Rainn Wilson is the perfect wigged. Full Metal Jacket. All roles were brilliantly cast but nah. Sergeant Hartman is the truest character in the film. Ali Ermey was a drill instructor in the Marine Corps and brought in only to advise, but he wanted the role. He put on a uniform and showed Kubrick how it should be and got the part over Tim Kalsari, who was already cast but moved to the door gunner's part. Edit. Wow, thank you, my first award ever. Ali Ermey nailed that role so hard no other actor will ever top his role as a drill instructor. Russell Crowe's Maximus in Gladiator. The speech once he takes off the mask is goosebump inducing epic. Quiet strength. We'll say nothing about him as Robin Hood, though. Also, Joaquin Phoenix did a fantastic job as Commodus in the same film. Seems he's got a knack for playing crazes. I don't think the film would have been nearly as good if either of them were played by someone else. Ryan Reynolds Deadpool. What I love most about this is he was a fan. He played Deadpool in a terrible movie, stick to it, and forced the great movie to happen several years later. He himself made it happen. The success belongs to him. Rowan Atkinson as Mr. Bean. Rowan Atkinson as Blackadder. Gloria's House. I know it's not a movie, but that casting is so good. I knew him from Blackadder before, and was amazed at how perfect he was as House. Edit. Here is his audition tape for those that have never seen it. The director didn't even realize who Laurie was British after he'd auditioned him. He's such a good actor. When I saw Stuart Little I couldn't believe the father was played by House. Jeff Goldblum as Ian Malcolm in Jurassic Park. On second thought, all of the actors in Jurassic Park, even Samuel L. Jackson, who is essentially playing a theme park administrator, made that part his own. I mean, what film was 100% perfectly cast? Lord of the Rings. Despite all the things that pissed me off after Fellowship, they nailed the casting so well. Edit list of things that bugged me in this comment. Samarty BH minor, what pissed you off after Fellowship? Daniel Day-Lewis as Daniel Plainview. There Will Be Blood. DDL as the Butcher in Gangs of New York. Tim Curry in Clue, Rocky Horror, Muppet Treasure Island, Ferngully, etc. Don't forget Legend. Tim Curry as the giant red satyr was amazing to behold. Really, Tim Curry was smashing in every role he played. Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. There were 3 roles that only RR could play. Waiting. Deadpool and Van Wilder. I can't see any other actor on the planet doing a better job than he did in those 3 films. Tilda Swinton as the Archangel Gabriel in Constantine. Let's not forget Peter Stormare as Satan. Tilda Swinton in literally any role she ever plays. Her character in Snowpiercer is flawless. Rosamund Pike as Amy Dunn in Gone Girl. She perfectly embodied the Amy of the book and somehow added even more depth to the character. She was truly excellent and deserved the Oscar emo. Oh my god. Her acting gave me nightmares. Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm glad he'll be returning again. Edit. Thanks for the awards guys. I mean, I came here to say Obi-Wan's casting in general, but yeah, McGregor was perfect as we're on Star Wars. Leia, Han, Luke, Vader, Palpatine, Yoda, 3PO, Dooku, Chewie and Lando. Off the top of my head, feel free to add to that list internet, were perfectly cast, at least for me. Edit. Ninja, with added honesty, Hayden. Alright, the dialogue was pretty bad for some scenes, but Rots gives me chills, and he deserves credit for that. Thanks you /Flit and Adam Driver as Ren, who created one of my favorite characters. Thanks to you /Batwing Scorpio. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Could be a little shorter for comedic purposes. I'd have to say Edward Norton as Jack and Brad Pitt as Tyler Durden in Fight Club, but that entire cast was solid. They embodied the characters flawlessly from the book. I was thinking of Edward Norton as Derek in American History X. He nailed that performance so well. Joaquin Phoenix in Walk the Line. A superb Johnny Cash. Jack Black in School of Rock. No, Jack Black as Bethany in Jumanji. He plays a teenage girl scarily well. He was the only one who really made me believe he was a character being played by another character. Everyone else gets close, but then has one or two moments when they lose you. He never does. David Tennant as Crowley. Michael Sheen as Aziraphale. David Tennant as Kilgrave. Just David Tennant in anything. Al Pacino as Michael Corleone. I really liked Christian Bale in American Psycho. The empty intensity, the simmering hatred he was able to portray as Patrick Bateman could not have been pulled off by anyone else. This comment is getting up votes, so I shall use the bully pulpit to demonstrate my favorite scene in the film that shows off Bale's acting chops. Business card scene. Bryan Cranston as Alan Malcolm in The Middle, and as Walter White in Breaking Bad. Heath Ledger, the Joker, The Dark Knight. Never have I ever been more wrong about someone playing a role. When I heard that they cast him, I was like the guy from Knight's Tale. No, will never work. One of the best acting performances I've ever seen. Lewis Black as Anger in Inside Out. He's literally the angriest man alive. I really like Jamie Foxx as Django. Christoph Waltz was also really good. I know they botched the overall franchise, but I thought Henry Cavill was the perfect Superman. He's also the perfect Geralt of Rivia. Leonardo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street. Leonardo DiCaprio as Arnie Grape in the movie What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Michael Scarn, played by Michael Scott, the best protagonist in the whole film industry. What about Golden Face? Jim Halpert nailed the performance as a man whose boss didn't care about him. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Judy Garland as Dorothy. Edit. I'm also aware of the abuse. I know about all of that. I would love if any conversation about her could be focused on her artistry, but of course you can say whatever you want. This is the internet after all. I would also love to use this to clarify that she was not molested by the Munchkins, nor were they drunks, because that seems to be a common thing that I see. Damn it, Sid laughed, and damn it, Judy, for coming up with that joke, lol. I also met some of them and got to speak to them about it. If anyone has any questions about that, my grandmother met Judy while being commissioned by her, but in the late 60s, so Dorothy wasn't really there anymore. But according to her, Judy was a wonderful, funny human being, one of the brightest lights she ever met. She said, regardless of all the bullshit, that she was just a very special human being. My mother was going to name me Judy after her, but my dad ended up picking my name. Everyone in The Princess Bride. Most perfect casting of an entire movie ever. Jim Carrey in Ace Ventura. Everyone. Good Will Hunting. Every role in Girl Interrupted. Winona Ryder and Angelina Jolie just nail their roles, but really every supporting actor freaking delivers, especially Clea Duvall and Brittany Murphy Mo. Tom Hiddleston, Loki. Bill Hader as the older Richie in It, Chapter 2. Tommy Wiseau, The Room. Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator, John Leguizamo as the Pest, Denzel Washington as Alonzo. Keanu as Neo. Cumberbatch for Sherlock, if television counts. Faultless. Nick Offerman as Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost in Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz. Their chemistry made those movies. I'm not really sure if it's casting when the role is explicitly written for them, and in part, by them. Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones and Han Solo. Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn LOTR. Pretty much everyone in The Big Lebowski. This is probably cheating, but Gary Oldman cast as literally anyone. The man is the perfect casting. Name one role that he played that he didn't nail. Val Kilmer as Jim Morrison. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. He isn't comic book accurate, but played the character well. Harrison Ford as Han Solo or Tom Hardy as Bane. Frank Underwood. Still sends shivers down my spine. All of the Lord of the Rings cast. And since few actresses are being named, Angelina Jolie as Lisa in Girl Interrupted, Lara Croft in Tomb Raider, Jane Smith in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and Maleficent in Maleficent. Reese Witherspoon as Elle Woods in Legally Blonde. Kate Winslet as Rose in Titanic. Kate Blanchett as Katharine Hepburn in The Aviator. Helena Bonham Carter as Bellatrix Lestrange in Harry Potter. Whoopi Goldberg as Celie in The Color Purple and Oda Mee Brown in Ghost. Jodie Foster as Clarice Starling in Silence of the Lambs edit, because I forgot Meryl. Meryl Streep as 1. Susan Valen Postcards from the Edge, semi-autobiographical screenplay by Carrie Fisher. Streep's character is meant to be Fisher. 2. Madeline Ashton in Death Becomes Her. 3. Miranda Priestley in The Devil Wears Prada. 4. Sister Aloysius Bouvier in Doubt. 5. Julia Child in Julie and Julia. 6. Margaret Thatcher in The Iron Lady. 7. Violet Weston in August Osage County. And 8. Florence Foster Jenkins in Florence Foster Jenkins. It's dawning on me that the through line for Meryl's best characters is that they're all slightly deranged. Close bracket. The 3 HP leads. Rupert even said he can't tell where Ron ends and where he begins, and vice versa, and that Ron is very much a part of him. I heard an interesting story on this subject. There was a new director for an HP movie. He asked the 3 leads to write essays describing their respective characters, true to their respective screen personalities. Emma wrote a 16-page essay, Daniel wrote a 1-page essay, and Rupert didn't write or submit anything. This also reminds me of a teenager post. 3 types of students. Someone in class. Did you study for the test? Regular kid. Yes, I read the chapter. Nerds, all week long. Me, we had a test today. Alan Rickman as Professor Snape. Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber, Die Hard. Samuel L. Jackson anything. Toy Story, they recruited some quality toys. Josh as Thanos. Steve as Mitchell Scott. Oh my, you watched until the end? That's fucking awesome, dude. Thanks for watching.